Welcome to my program. So what we're going to do is we're going to run through some lessons based around the ebook that I wrote on anxiety. If you don't have that ebook, go and download it now and either use it along the way, read it, or pause this and run through that first. Basically, the ebook is step one. And what I do in the ebook is I use my words to explain a lot about what anxiety is, what anxiety isn't, and where I believe anxiety stems from. So I have to say this little thing about how I'm not a medical professional, and that when I term the word anxiety and depression and things like that, I'm speaking purely about an emotional state. I'm not talking about any medical or I'm talking about emotions, okay? So if you've been diagnosed with acute anxiety from a doctor or anything like that, depression and anything like that at all, that's up to you and your intuition and your support team and your the advice that you choose to follow in your life, what you want to do from here, okay? So I have my own set of values and my own set of beliefs, and that's what I teach from. It is purely up to you to choose what doesn't gel with you and to be responsible for what you're choosing to believe. Everything I say is my views and my perspectives. Okay, good. Now that that's said, but I actually, no, to be fair, I do believe that. I think it's very important that we do guard our minds and that we do filter everything that's being said through our value system so that we can check what doesn't feel right for us. And if it doesn't feel right, we can look into it deeper before we run ahead and do what the rest of the world is telling us to do, me included. So, super interesting doing the research on anxiety and doing some case studies and having some conversations with people about what anxiety is and what anxiety isn't. So I'm going to start with what I find anxiety is always linked to. And just to prelude this, fear is not anxiety. Fear is fear. Anxiety is related to fear, but it is not fear itself. With anxiety, there's no danger present. If there really truly is danger present, like if your child's about to get run over or swallow granola, that's not anxiety, that's fear. Panic attacks come from fear, they don't come from anxiety. But just know anxiety is a stepping stone to fear, because when we're anxious about something in the future, because anxiety is in the future, it lives in the future, we jump ahead into the future using our anxiety, and then we work it up inside our brains, and the next minute we've got this big story about how suddenly everybody's left us and we're all alone, and then we're having a panic attack. Or we're jumping ahead and we're thinking about how this person might assault us and assert power over us, and we've suddenly a loss of control. Panic attack. Okay, so just wanted to clear that up from the start. I don't believe that anxiety is fear. I believe fear is fear and that anxiety is the prelude to that. And we can work with anxiety. Right? We can work with anxiety. And once we get to know anxiety and connect all the dots, then it doesn't need to cripple us anymore. And if we realize that it's fear that we're actually dealing with and not anxiety, cool. Now we get to look into the fears and do some fear work. If you are having panic attacks, do complete this program. You've paid for it. But just for the record, you probably will need some more hand-in-hand support. Like, you're going to need to feel safe. And as much as I will do my best to make you feel safe through my videos, it's not really truly possible. You'd need further support. So jump on and check out my other programs. So I'm going to run through the awareness today. So the tools that we're going to use is to help you figure out if this is anxiety, when it shows up for you, if it is fear, how to separate between anxiety and fear, and really start to understand when this emotion shows up for you. So the first question that I want you to ask yourself is, what was I thinking when this feeling came? So what was I thinking? If you block yourself and you say, I don't know, just know, one, that that's normal, because this is actually your ego going, oh, it's too scary to go there, let's not go there. Just ask it and allow the question to come. Because when we ask ourselves questions, we will find the answer. That's how freaking clever the brain is. Okay? And sometimes you can just sleep on it. What was I thinking when this feeling came? And I want you to journal it. I want you to really journal this and start to get really aware of what's going on in your head. And then I want you to ask yourself, where did I feel it in my body? So I want you to be able to describe what the feeling is in your body. Okay, and then the next thing I want you to do for this awareness is ask yourself, when was the first time that I ever felt this feeling? And I want you to document that down. Okay. Next, I want you to go just a little bit deeper and ask yourself, so now you figured out what you were thinking in your head, and this may take days, you guys, so I'm not putting on this day 1, day 2 sort of a challenge. This is just, I will suggest that you do not leave it longer than 7 days in between this work, and that you don't do it in 1 day. You need at least probably 2 days, 2 to 7 days. So you're figuring out what you were thinking, and then you're figuring out where it was in your body, and then you're thinking about when the first time it happened, and you're writing it all down. Then I want you to ask yourself, on your most recent experience with anxiety, what happened next? What dialogue then went inside your head? What was the full story that went into, and the full way that you felt, and then what happened next? What did you do next? I want you to write that all down so you're starting to get a snapshot of yourself, because you can start to piece together the dots. What came up for you? I know you were in the future. Now, here's the trick. If you were in the past when anxiety came to visit you, that's not anxiety, that's fear. Okay? If you started in the future, then went back to the past, that's your progression from anxiety to fear. Depression is in the past. The fear, so let's just say you've been sexually assaulted in the past, and you're experiencing something in the moment where you felt like there were a lot of powerful people around you, and then you without even knowing, you went back and it came into your body, and now all of a sudden you're freaking out. That's not anxiety. That's a trigger from the past. So that is something that we can deal with when we do a fear series or one-on-one coaching. Ask yourself, what triggered this? This is basically what all these questions are. You're asking yourself, what triggered this? What is this truly? Is this really anxiety? Is this fear? And if it's anxiety, what does it feel like? Where did it come in my body? And then how did I react to it? Okay, and start to notice the patterns. So you'll notice things like you started stressing about the house not being good enough next week when your in-laws come. Or you started thinking about how you don't have enough time for your son, and then my baby's crying and I've still got to get the house done, and oh my gosh, I've got all of these things to do. Because anxiety's in the future. And I've said this about probably 3-4 times, because it's a very, 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 very big key to understanding anxiety. The correlation we have with time and the future is what the fuck. It's not real. We just went ahead to the future, freaked ourselves out about something that's not even real, and then wonder why we don't have any time. We don't have any time because we're not present in time. We're ahead in the future. We're not living in the present. We're living in the future. And we're also living in the past. We go back to the past. We don't have time because we're not utilizing our time right here, right now in the present. Sit on that. Think about what I've said. Go and do the journaling. Answer the questions. What did I say? 2 to 7 days. Come back. Jump on the next series.